Look, I know everyone's tired of hearing about Sauvage and Dylan Blue and Bleu de Chanel and Acqua di Gio, right? And not for nothing, a lot of the reason why those are brought up so often, not only on my channel, but other channels as well, is because there are new people coming into the community on a daily basis. Like probably every hour, I'm getting at least one new person that's completely new to FRAGCOM subscribing to my channel, maybe even more, right? And so if I were to cover those in the past and then never bring them up again, that wouldn't be very beneficial to newcomers to the channel. So I just kind of wanted to toss that out there and say that that's why those types of fragrances are brought up often. They're scents that work, they work really well. I talk about them because I believe in them and I also wear them myself. And it's good to bring those up so people that are new and just arriving to the channel can start to understand and digest exactly what's going on in the community. But that being said, this video is not about those fragrances. Today what we're going to be taking a look at is how to move to the next level. Maybe you're not new. Maybe you've been collecting for a while. You've got all of your blue fragrances, you've got all your aquatics, and maybe you're stuck. You're trying to figure out how you can kind of take it to the next step and start investing in some fragrances that are maybe a little bit more advanced. That's what we're going to be covering today. I've got 12 fragrances that'll kind of kick you up to that next level. They're going to be scents that are going to have a little bit more depth. They'll be a little bit more interesting and perhaps even a little bit more challenging. We got a whole bunch of different price ranges here, from cheapies to a little bit more expensive, but really we don't go overboard. I think maybe a couple of these go over $100, but that's really about it. So I will link these down below, and I do also want to point you over to my community tab where I'm posting deals all day, every day on some of the rarest fragrances that's on the market, DIOR and PARFUM and things like that. They show up over there. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'm also doing $500 giveaways over there every single month as well, so you don't want to miss out. Chanel Egoiste is kind of what I was thinking of initially when starting this video. This is the first one I put in the list because this is definitely not something that I would advise anyone to start out with. This is the type of thing that you need to work your way up to, because especially if you're just getting into fragrances now in 2022 going into 23 and you're smelling a bunch of sweet, youthful, playful stuff, and then you went over to this, completely different. This has a whole bunch of woods, rosewood, sandalwood. There's some cinnamon in here as well. It's going to be smoky, mature, kind of warm and spicy, and just a much more traditionally masculine and more gentleman-leaning scent. Now, this is going to be for the guy who does want something more upscale and more mature, and something that will have you taken more seriously overall. And like I said, this is a great upgrade to your collection, a nice addition if you want to start changing things and kind of moving towards some fragrances that are going to be a little bit more unique, so to speak. Now, I do have to throw one in for the warm months, for when you guys are moving into summer next year, or for my guys down in the southern hemisphere. I do get comments from you guys, my Australian buddies. I'm listening to you, so I am going to try to work in some warmer weather scents in these videos as time goes on, even though for probably the bulk of my audience it is freezing cold outside, which sucks, right? But this is Light Blue Italian Love. So this is definitely not a beginner level scent, and I think a lot of people made that mistake, unfortunately, because it is a light blue and because a lot of people were probably used to the original and Oh Intense and Love is Love and Italian Zest and everything like that. Those are definitely beginner level. But this is not, and neither is Forever. So these are going to take a little bit of working up to, because they have one of the most realistic grapefruit accords I've ever smelled in a designer scent. So it's all about the grapefruit, ozonic notes, violet leaf, and what I like about Italian Love is it has more of a bergamot supplementation to kick back that grapefruit just a little bit. But don't be misled by that. This still has a ton of grapefruit in it, and it's not going to be for everybody. I've seen comments ranging from this smells like BO and a bunch of other crazy stuff. So make sure you have an understanding of what you're getting yourself into here. But if you are a bit more advanced and you want to get a really photorealistic grapefruit scent for not a lot of money, this is one of your go-tos. Let's move on with Mercedes-Benz Les Parfums. So a nice affordable car fragrance designer brand here. Now this one has oud, violet leaves, and amber as some of the main notes. So the oud is relatively digestible here, not too hard to pull off. The violet leaves give it a little bit of a fresh ozonic feel, nice balance there. It keeps it from getting tipped over to the point where it's way too hard to pull off. And The amber is giving it a nice warm sweetness overall. So not beginner level to me, even though it's a wearable oud. I still don't think this is something that I would advise beginners to start out with. But if you do want to start moving your collection to that next level, and maybe you want to start playing around with some oud scents, this would be a nice place to start for not a lot of money. And we might as well keep that oud train rolling with another one. However, this one is quite a bit different and much more mature. Actually, it's Ferragamo oud. So pretty straightforward, right? Now this has rum, it has leather, a little bit of oud, some warm, spicy notes, but ultimately this one's very boozy and it actually focuses a lot more on the rum and leather than the actual oud accord itself. So I do like that about this, and therefore it doesn't make it redundant with this or any other oud fragrance for that matter in the video or just in general, because even though it's called oud, it's done in a different way that maybe you wouldn't expect, and that would scare people away, just the name, but trust me, it might be better than what you think. Again, I wouldn't advise this to a brand new person into collecting. I think there are better options out there for sure. But if you're wanting to kind of get into something that's going to be a little bit more unique and different, this would be a nice place to start for about 50-55 bucks. One of my favorites up next from Guerlain, we have L'Instant de Guerlain. This is the Eau de Parfum. So they've gone through a whole bunch of different bottles. It started off with the old style, and then, which I guess I can show you real quick, because me just saying old style doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Started off looking like this, okay? That's what everyone knows it by. They went over to this, and now they went over to the L'Homme Ideal bottles. I haven't had a chance to get my hands on those. Do I think they reformulated it? I would imagine probably not, because they've changed bottles so many times at this point, but who really knows? It's not really the point of this, but just wanted to throw that out there anyway so you're not confused if you look up a picture. If it looks like a L'Homme Ideal bottle, that's the same thing as this. Now this has patchouli, it has cacao, it has star anise, it's chocolatey, it's kind of sweet, but also masculine and warm and spicy and very mature. This DNA is incredible. It's so unique, it's so different, and there's nothing else out there that smells like this stuff. It really is something special. Now on discounters, that one isn't too bad either. Usually $50-ish, right around in that range for 100 mil, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. Really not bad at all. But if you want something even more affordable, you could go with LALIQUE ENCRE Noir ELIXIR. Now this is a tester. See it engraved on the back, and it comes with a cap. I don't know if you could see tester right there. If you get it just right, tester and cap, which is always nice. I always like to point that out when I can. So if you do have the option to get a tester, personally, I say go for it. You can save even a bit more money, which is always nice. Vetiver, incense, and cypress. Okay. This is another one, and it's always these cheap fragrances, guys, that get people into trouble. Because typically when you're first starting out, you kind of gravitate towards the cheapies because, well, it's more affordable, and maybe you're not comfortable with diving in and spending hundreds of dollars on colognes for a single bottle. I know I was the furthest thing from that when I was starting out. So you go for the cheapies, right? That's natural. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But where that gets you is you have stuff like this, which is about $29, 100 mil on discounters. The original Encre Noir, even a little bit more affordable than that. You pick this up thinking it's going to be good. You smell it and you're repulsed, especially this one, because this is such a strong, earthy vetiver combined with the incense and then the dry cypress accord, which is giving it kind of an aromatic feel. I mean, this is smoky woodiness to the max, and it's not a soapy vetiver either. I mean, this is smoky woodiness and dryness to the max, and it's not a soapy vetiver like I had mentioned. It's a strong, earthy vetiver, and this really throws people off, and a lot of people try this and they hate it when they first smell it. So this is definitely the type of scent where you got to work your way up to it. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. But dollar for dollar, if you're looking for something unique, this is one of the best out there. Next up, Cartier Declaration Parfum. Always love the bottles on these. Kind of upgrade the presentation there and you get something cool you can play with, right? Completely pointless, and that's definitely not the reason why you should buy this, okay? Don't buy it because of that. Buy it because you like woods and spices. So this may sound similar to the LALIQUE, but it's not. Completely different here. Different woods, not vetiver heavy, but instead cedar wood, sandalwood. There's a bitter orange accord off the top to kind of give it a little bit of a slight dry fruitiness off the first spray. And it's another one that's very, very mature. For the most part, when you see Cartier, think of a mature scent. Think of basically the opposite of a blue fragrance. Okay, there's this by Cartier, Declaration Parfum. There's Lanvin Eau de Parfum, also very mature. Pacha de Cartier Parfum, and even the original EDT and Aromatic Fougere. These fragrances are mature and refined to the max. Like I said, definitely not for the beginner here. You want to make sure you're going to be into some heavier, woodier scents. And if you are, and you want to take it to that next level, then you can pull the trigger on this one. Great quality, great performance, and you can't go wrong. Let's hit up another patchouli scent with Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense. You kind of see a little bit of a trend. Patchouli and even vetiver can be notes that can really get people into trouble. And the reason why is because there are a ton of super wearable, soapy, clean vetiver fragrances out there that legitimately any guy would love. Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, perfect example. And so you might think, oh, I love vetiver, so then I'll try the LALIQUE, and then you're completely confused because it smells rancid, okay? So it can really be challenging. Patchouli, same deal, can be kind of smooth and refined and just slightly masculine and just really laid back, and you might love it. And you say, okay, I'm going to try out Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense or Guerlain, L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Parfum, and you try them and you're repulsed. So that's why you do have to be somewhat careful if you're just going off of notes. Luckily, myself and a lot of other people are here to kind of hopefully guide you in the right direction. And with Prada Amber Pour Homme Intense, patchouli heavy, has a lot of myrrh in here as well. Nice sweetness, some lavender, fresh cleanness. Even though it's very, very heavy and sweet on the patchouli, given that it is a Prada, it still has a little bit of that signature Prada soapiness in here to make it a little bit more digestible, but still definitely not a beginner level scent. Next up, one of my favorite fragrance DNAs, and kind of a second feature from the brand here in this video, which is also saying something. From Guerlain, it's L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette. So the easiest one to get by far. The Eau de Parfum, the Extreme, Cool, and I guess really that's it. Those are all hard to get. L'Intense and the original here are the easiest ones to get, coincidentally, at least in the US, on discounters. Now, not for nothing, I think this is a great, great fragrance. I think it's amazing, and while if I had to make a choice between this versus like one of the flankers, it would be one of the flankers, and that would end up being Extreme. However, for the price point that this one is consistently at on discounters, it cannot be beaten. Has leather, almond, a little bit of vanilla in here as well. I love this DNA. So smooth, so silky, so sweet, and so mature. Wouldn't really recommend someone to start out with this, but to move your collection to the next level, this is a great option for a really solid price. Running down to the end with DIOR Sauvage Elixir. Sorry guys, had to do it. I did say there would be no Sauvage, however, this is not Sauvage. I mean, it is, technically it says it right there on the bottle, and it is from DIOR, and it does have a familiar bottle, right? However, this is the furthest you can possibly get from Sauvage Eau de Toilette and Eau de Parfum, and even the Parfum for that matter. It's so far that it's almost even a stretch calling this Sauvage. Now this has licorice, cinnamon, sandalwood, nutmeg, a bunch of warm spices, a bunch of woods. This is packed to the gills with masculine energy and refined, mature energy to it. This does not smell like an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old like the EDT does. This smells like a dude who has everything put together and is focused on his career and his family. Very masculine, beast mode scent, and definitely not beginner friendly. Stay away from this if you're just starting out. Stick with the original EDT and the EDP and wait a little while on this. SERGE Lutens CHERGUI is up next. Tobacco, honey, and amber in here. Fantastic tobacco scent. If the color of this one doesn't sell it for you, then I don't know what will. Now, I do have to say that coloration of the juice means absolutely nothing because, I mean, take a look at all the beast mode fragrances out there that are perfectly clear. There's a ton of them, so that doesn't matter. It's purely for aesthetics, but that's what I'm saying. If just the color of this does not just kind of describe what you're in for here with this one, I don't know what will, because this is absolutely gorgeous. There's a cinnamon sweetness. It smells like fall and winter time and holidays. The tobacco in here is a nice rich red pipe tobacco. This is a stunner, and while it's great to move up to in your collecting days, I wouldn't start out early with this one. It might put you off, and I don't want you to get ruined by tobacco fragrances when you're just starting out and have a sour taste in your mouth about them. Just wait a little while on this, but once you're ready, you're going to be ready and you're going to know it. And we'll finish this one off with another oud, because why not? Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir. So this one has oud and saffron, some other woods, right? You guys know what it smells like probably. However, the reason why I chose this is because I would not recommend starting off with this. I would go for Versace Pour Homme and I would go for Dylan Blue. However, once you're ready to move to the next level, and if you want to start playing around with ouds, this, just like the other oud fragrances in there, would be a great place to start. Smells a little bit like Tom Ford Oud Wood, just on a massive budget, and you really can't go wrong with that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. 12 fragrances to take your collection to the next level. If you want to start getting a little bit more advanced, these are going to do it for you, and they're going to help keep that passion alive. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.